is now time for our seventh and last session for the day. If any of you have ever planned a conference, you always know that there are often unexpected things that happen at the last minute. You'll notice in your program that it has two presenters from OCLC, Katie Means and Jill Jones. Unfortunately, Katie became ill and she could not join us today. But Jill Jones is still going to come and talk to us about OCLC Discovery Services update. So let me give Jill a brief introduction and then we'll let her plug in up here. Jill began her career teaching English literature and film studies at The Ohio State University before moving into educational publishing and technology. A veteran of both higher education and K-12 content providers, she worked in a variety of roles across humanities, CTE, and STEM products. 4 years ago, she moved to OCLC as the Senior Product Manager for FirstSearch and WorldCat.org. She loves working with people who are knowledgeable and passionate about what they do. So please welcome Jill.
So as Margaret said, my colleague Katie was supposed to be here with me today and then unfortunately got sick at the last minute. So I still have her slides. And actually the slides belong to yet another colleague of ours. So I'm not a SME in that second set of slides, but I know that it's a topic of great interest here. So we'll do what we can. So we'll give a brief overview of the end user solutions for FirstSearch, WorldCat Discovery, and WorldCat.org. Then I'll talk a bit about WorldCat.org and visibility. And then we'll get to linked data, which are the slides that Katie was going to present. And it does seem like there is some interest in that topic here. And then we'll hopefully, we'll get through as much of that as we can. I have a lot of very detailed information about that comes from another person. And then the Q&A. So some of you might be familiar with all of these solutions, so I'll go over this quickly, but if you have questions, please interrupt me or ask me at the end. But I am the Senior Product Manager for FirstSearch and WorldCat.org. My counterpart, Katie, is the Senior Product Manager for WorldCat Discovery. You probably know these products. FirstSearch has been around since 1991. It's the kind of thing that I used in grad school, so I love it. I'm like, hey, this is awesome. I know how to use this, right? It's still the thing that's got a lot of fans. It's the best lens on WorldCat. It gives very precise results. It's great for ILL. A lot of catalogers love to use it to make sure that they have the right thing. As some people I talk to say, FirstSearch is really the best thing for monographs. It's the best thing for anything with a MARC record that would sit on a shelf. There are article databases in it, but WorldCat Discovery is the one that has the central index and the knowledge base. So if you're really seeking more to do with articles, Discovery might be better for that. And Discovery is also the user interface for WMS, if you're familiar with that. FirstSearch and WorldCat Discovery come together in the same subscription. So we see libraries using all combinations of this. Some libraries use FirstSearch very heavily, some use WorldCat Discovery very heavily, and some use both of them. If you have that subscription with cataloging, then you're eligible for visibility, meaning your holdings are visible on WorldCat.org, meaning that your partner network can connect to WorldCat.org and then your library. And then also the new thing that we have since 2022 is the Direct Links in Google program, which I'll talk about in a little bit. But when I talk about visibility, I'm talking about reaching people where they search. Because of our massive partner network, we are really able to help people where they're searching for items in case they didn't start at a library and connect them with a library near them that holds the item. And this is just a summary of the kind of content that can be searched. FirstSearch does have databases in addition to WorldCat, but we find that people search WorldCat about 90% of the time in FirstSearch, so that's the big thing for that. WorldCat.org also has a lot of articles, and then WorldCat Discovery has over 3,000 additional content collections. Any questions on this? Okay. All right, well now we're going to get to the good bit. So, welcome to the Rookwood Room. I was really excited when I saw that this was the Rookwood Room. Does anybody know what Rookwood is here in Cincinnati? Yes. 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 So in the 19th century, Ohio, and particularly Cincinnati, was a big center for art pottery. And the woman who founded Rookwood Pottery was Maria Longworth Storer. This picture is from the Taft Museum, which is a great little museum near here. It's one of my favorite places in Cincinnati. So Maria Longworth Storer, when I saw that we were here, I was like, wow, is that named after Rookwood Pottery and all this stuff? And I was like, I wonder if she has any connection to music. So I'm searching around stuff on her. This is one of her ceramics. And anyway, as I'm searching around online, I found this by her, History of the Cincinnati Musical Festivals and of the Rookwood Pottery. Did anybody know this, that she founded the Cincinnati Music Festivals? So this is what persists today as the Cincinnati May Festival. So she does have a connection to music, yes. Oh, you were gonna, okay. So I was pretty excited when I found that. Evidently, Rookwood Pottery went out of business in 1967, but then they relaunched in 2004. And I went to their website. They have a store here in Cincinnati, and they do pottery, they do tiles. They have a series of tiles called jazz tiles, in case you want to put jazz tiles in your house. So there is a collection of music. She also wrote a hymn, so I was very excited that we were in this room that has a connection to music that I didn't really know about. And so, of course, I go on worldcat.org because I always go into worldcat.org or First Search to see what I can find. And, we have her hymn in WorldCat. We have that little book that I showed the cover of, which was from the Cincinnati Public Library. Also, this book about her, Maria Longworth Storer, From Music and Art to Popes and Presidents. She was a very notable figure. So when I was doing this search, I started searching on Google, I started searching on worldcat.org, and then I ended up in libraries. But because I'm not a subject matter expert on this particular figure, I wasn't sure what I would find, and I didn't necessarily know which libraries would hold it. And I think that's a lot of time what people who are searching do. If they don't know to look in a library or they don't know what library might have something, they're going to search on Google. If they're lucky enough to know about worldcat.org, they'll search on worldcat.org. But I'm very passionate, like I said, about making sure that people are able to find things in a library near them and connect with it. And I think that's what's so great about our visibility program and our partner network, is that it captures people out there where they're searching when they don't know where to find something and gets them to the place that has it. So our web visibility program has three main components. One is the massive worldcat.org website, which is, on the open web. It's the world's largest library website. We also have this massive partner network of over 5,000 partners that link to worldcat.org, and then from there people can link onto a library. And then also our Google partnership, which has been going on for over 20 years now, and which we have continued to add to. So this is at a scale that no library could accomplish on its own, and it really helps drive traffic to libraries and helps users get the things that they're searching for. In August of 2022, we launched the new worldcat.org, and some things that are new about this new worldcat.org. If you were ever on the old one, you know that it was not optimized for mobile. This new one is, so it's mobile friendly, it's WCAG 2 compliant, so that's great for accessibility. It connects more people to your library with tools to promote your collections. One of the big ones here are lists. The staff can create lists, people can create personal lists. I'll show some examples in a moment. There are more ways to engage, including easier list creation and sharing. There's social sharing, so people can easily share titles or lists, etc., to social media and email and so on. And then we've improved fulfillment with access to local library e-resources. So if users are in their IP range or authenticated, they can easily connect to the e-resources. And we also, in addition to having a mobile-friendly web interface, we now have the WorldCat Find mobile app, which is an extension of worldcat.org as an app. This is one of the newest updates we've made. Like I said, we have lists. We had lists on the old site, but we've made improvements to the new one. Now, with a staff-curated list, they can be found on the library page, which means somebody, you can see with Caldwell University, they have at the top of their library page, it shows curated lists. They happen to have one on music on the far right side there, items for their course, language of music. So people can follow these lists. We find that some libraries before were like making their staff curated lists, but they just had them kind of on their personal list. So there's a couple of music libraries that have been great about doing this, but now they have the option of doing this, so it's easy for people to find and easy for them to follow when they've made the staff curated lists. University of Louisville Music Library is one that's been great about making lists. This is from before we had the lists on the library page, so this was just kind of done as a personal list. But now the people who are making these could do these as the staff curated list, so they show up on the library page. Any questions about worldcat.org? Okay. So in April of 2022, we made a great addition to our partnership with Google, which we launched direct links in Google search. And what this means is now that somebody who is out searching just in Google search or on Google Books will have a knowledge, if they're searching for a book item, they'll have the knowledge panel appear, and I'll show up to 5 libraries near them that hold the item. It's based on geolocation. You can change your location if you want to look at another location. We started out with just print books, but a couple months ago, or a month ago, it's really recent, we have ebooks in there now. We're working on getting audio books next. So you see the experience, somebody just searching on Google. This is from Google Books, and I looked at this title, Playing with History, the Historical Approach to Musical Performance. If I hover over that borrow button, in this case, there's ebook, hardcover, and paperback versions of this. I click on the one that I want, and it takes me into the OPAC for the participating library. So that's a really great experience for the user. It just goes right to the item in the library. And then we collect the statistics on this, so we count the statistics. It's in stats.oclc.org for the libraries that are participating. So, I'm going to attempt to do a demo now. So if I type in a title, I'm just on Google search. If I type in this book, Musicophilia, I will see libraries near where I am that have it. If I click on all read options, it will show me all the libraries around here that have it. But I can change my location. So if I want to go to Louisville, for example, I can see that University of Louisville, this is the music library there, the Dwight Anderson Memorial Music Library. They have it. So each time it takes me right to the library's catalog, and it makes it very easy for me to see as a user that they have it. In some cases, if you're in a large metropolitan area and there are a lot, and it's a title that's popular enough that there might be a lot of libraries to have it, some cases it's good to put the zip the zip code, but if you're at the place, it'll geolocate from wherever you are in the city. So if I put in New York, there are going to be a lot of libraries that have it. But if I'm looking for Manhattan School of Music, I'm going to put in their zip code. And there it is. You could also favorite a library here, so if you're like, I want to see if my library has it every time, no matter where I'm searching, I can pin that one. So then if I go to another location, my favorite library is still showing up there. Oops. And there's just my music, sorry. I didn't mean for that to show up. Okay. Now you know that I like tango. Which, by the way, the tango group here in Cincinnati, there's a group called Tango del Barrio that's really nice. I haven't been there post-pandemic, but anyway, it's a good town for tango. So who is eligible for this? Like I said, currently we're doing print books and ebooks for U.S. libraries. We're working on expanding to audiobooks. We're working on expanding to some additional countries. We're working with Google on that and on their roadmap. It's public, academic, government, and special libraries with the subscriptions needed for visibility. So, like I said before, if you have a First Search WorldCat Discovery subscription plus cataloging, you're eligible. If you have WMS, you're eligible. Google is very stringent about quality requirements. So we make sure that we've thoroughly tested links internally before we send anything to Google. So we do automated testing of between 100 and 500 links for each library. It's a stratified sample, depending on the size of the collection. And at least 95% of them have to work. And then we do manual testing on top of that, because the automated testing doesn't catch everything that Google's going to rule out. So after we pass them, then we send them on to Google, and then they do their quality testing as well, and they do manual testing at Google of a random sample. And then so once they pass that, then we've been going live in sort of tranches. So right now we have over 900 libraries live with the print book links and over 450 live with the ebook links. And like I said, we're going to continue expanding that program. So when I talk about what we're looking at when we're testing, and I say 95% must work, it has to go to the right item in the library. It shouldn't go just to a landing page or something like that. Google will not accept that. The holdings have to be set in WorldCat. The identifiers should be comprehensive, up to date, and used consistently, whether you're using OCLC numbers or you're using ISBNs. Thank you. So the base URLs and linking information have to be correct in the WorldCat registry. Shouldn't be a sign-in requirement. It's okay if it says like, oh, continue as guest or something like that, as long as I can see that you really hold the item. It's not getting into the item content, it's just seeing that you hold the item. And then if you every time I search there's like 100 results or something, that's something else that Google won't accept. So those are the things that we're looking for when we do our testing. We get a lot of questions about this program, and so these are some of the common ones. So people want to know if they have to convert to BibFrame to do this, and the answer is no. What Google uses is schema.org. So that's a linked data framework, and Google requires us to send things to them in schema.org, but we do that conversion so the library doesn't have to do it. Do I need to purchase another visibility service? No, for most of you, this will come with what you already have. There's no need to purchase anything additional. We do offer something, a lot of libraries are like, my holdings are not up to date, what do I do? So when we started this program, we discovered a lot of libraries were struggling with that. we started offering for all of our cataloging customers, free of charge, something called a streamlined holdings update. And it's not as complete as a reclamation, but it's nice. It's a free service. It gets rid of those items that you've deleted from the local catalog but haven't deleted from WorldCat, and helps update things. So some libraries complete that, and then they're like, well, am I going live now? But we still have to test. We still have to make sure that the identifiers are correct in there and we're not running into any of those other technical issues. So once we get those things working, that's when we send the links to Google, and then they launch on their schedule. When I update my library's holdings at WorldCat, how quickly are they visible on worldcat.org? Immediately. And these are just some things we recommend to maximize your library's impact for visibility. Request a streamlined holdings update if you haven't been doing a data sync or something regularly that you know they're up to date. If you have WMS, you know that's not necessary because you've been updating them every day. You can set up automated holdings feeds for knowledge-based collections that will help in worldcat.org. Make sure you incorporate identifiers into your local catalog if you do a streamlined holdings update. Other things that we recommend: make sure your library's profile is up to date in the WorldCat registry. Make sure you have a Google map for your library, and configure links to your online catalog. So these are all part of like getting things in shape for those links to work. And these are some things, for example, this is what it looks like in the registry. Having these links filled in is how we link to your catalog. And you might use OCLC numbers, you might use ISBNs. And for Google, make sure the main address and library name and WorldCat registry match the Google map. A lot of libraries, especially academic libraries, have secondary names. So like at Ohio State, the main library is the Thompson Library. So if both those are in there, however it's set up in the Google map, if it's called Thompson Library in the Google map, then that matches to the also called in the WorldCat registry. So I put these things on slides so that if people are sort of checking what they are doing, that's a good thing to review. All right, any questions about that? Okay, I think I probably have like 5 or 6 minutes to cover all this linked data stuff. 6 minutes, yes, I'm sure we can cover all of linked data in 6 minutes, right? Okay, so I'm not a cataloger, but yes, there is a guy named Jeff Mixter who is the authority on all of the things I'm about to tell you. I'm providing his email, so if you want detailed questions, then go to him. But any of the stuff that I just talked about, those questions come to me. So with linked data, our strategy is meeting libraries where they are today to improve current workflows and enable new workflows. So in a digital world, linked data enables libraries to stay relevant in the life cycle of researching, creating, distributing, and discovering knowledge. And OCLC started our migration to linked data by building the infrastructure that is production ready to create entities. This was a 2-year project that was jointly funded by the Andrew W. Mellon Foundation and OCLC. These entities are persistent and will be available for the community to use as a building block in the migration to linked data. These URIs can be read easily by computers and help connect things to other items on the web. To date, we have created over 150 million entities for works and persons, and these can be viewed at entities.oclc.org. By starting with WorldCat works and persons entities, libraries can begin to populate their MARC records with these entities or use them in BibFrame records. We are now testing a UI as well as 2 new APIs with a select group of libraries that they can use to edit and create their own works and persons entities. Over time, we will be adding additional entities like concepts and places to support library data needs. So connecting our authority data with the bibliographic data is one way that we're bridging MARC and non-MARC workflows. Whoops. Right now we are working on linkifying WorldCat by adding WorldCat entity URIs to subfield 1 across WorldCat bibliographic records. This will provide linked data capabilities to libraries working in MARC and a rich set of identifiers for libraries converting to linked data. In December 2023, WorldCat entities URIs were added to WorldCat bibliographic records. Subfield 1s were added to MARC fields 100, 600, 647, 651, and 700. I know somebody was asking about those field numbers before in the previous one. Languages of headings, English, German, Dutch, Spanish, and French. And total number of headings with subfield 1 insertions, 175 million. Concept entity URIs for FAST and Dewey classifications will be added to 650 fields in bibliographic records. Persons entity URIs will be added to 100 and 700 fields. Event entity URIs are being added in 647 fields. Place entity URIs will be added to applicable 651 fields. And lastly, work entity URIs are being added to bibliographic records in 758 fields. These will help cluster and pull together similar records for enhanced end-user discovery experiences. We have added functionality in WorldShare Record Manager to allow a lookup of WorldCat entities for selection to include the URI in the subfield 1 and applicable fields within bibliographic records. They don't have any notes for me to talk about here, but you can see where those are included. I think Jeff made a sample of his own name there to review. Coming to Connection Client at a future date. If you want to add entities to WorldCat, 2 minutes. If you want to add entities to WorldCat records, you can do that yourself by looking up entities and enriching WorldCat records right in your existing workflow. We will be adding this functionality into Connection, and again, the date is not known for that yet. Okay, so there's Jeff's sample entity. We're excited to announce release of OCLC Meridian in early 2024. OCLC Meridian is an editor for creating and editing WorldCat entities data. Here we can see an organization entity being created. Create a new organization entity and immediately access a linked data URI. Connect the new entity to other entities in the WorldCat graph. Find other connection points in the WorldCat graph. Connect them back to the new entity. And rich and meaningfully connected graph of data to serve library workflows. And yes, I made it. That's Jeff Mixter. All those things that I just said about linked data, if you don't have them memorized, email that guy. But yes.
We can take a few questions.
Yes.
Hi, hopefully this is a short one. I'm just wondered if you'd be willing to share your slides. I think my library is not yet on the visibility, and I would love to be able to share some of this information with the people in my library who work on that.
Yes, we can share the slides
That would be
afterwards.
great. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
I'll work with you on putting them into CVET.
Sounds good.
Also about the visibility thing, what's its official name? I also want to share it with colleagues.
So what Google calls it is borrow actions. What we call just our version of with our partnership with them is direct links from Google search.
All right.
Thank you.